जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय द्वैत चंद्र जय गौरभक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So yesterday we yesterday we read till here, I think, right? We saw that that one who takes to Krishna consciousness very sincerely, very seriously, by accepting and surrendering unto the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master, Krishna, as Chaitya Guru, guides the person from within. This is what we saw yesterday. What is this? Here. And such a soul, and to such a soul, when he approaches the Vedic scriptures, the essence is revealed to him because he has surrendered to a bona fide spiritual master. Therefore, Vedas, which is nothing but the literary incarnation of the Supreme Lord, so the Supreme Lord reveals himself through these Vedas. The ultimate purpose of all these scriptures is to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and to understand our relationship with Him, to understand that the love for Krishna is the ultimate goal of humanity, of all living beings. So, therefore, all these, the essence is revealed by the Supreme Lord Himself to such a soul who is surrendered to a bona fide spiritual master. Why? Because such a spiritual master who is a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord is very dear to the Lord, is very dear to the Supreme Lord. Um, in our Mangalarti, we sing this Samsara Davanal. So there we see the glorification of our spiritual master, how dear. And there is this verse, um, Ativallabhasya. So let me this साक्षाद्धरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रे उक्तस्तथा भाव्यत एव सद्भिः किन्तु प्रभोर्यः प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दम्. So here that he is so dear to the Supreme Lord and he is Sakshad Haritvena, we should understand that he is non-different from the manifestation of the Supreme Lord. Our spiritual master is a manifestation of the Supreme Lord. When somebody thinks the spiritual master to be a ordinary person, that is called Narabuddhi. That is the most foolish, rascal mindset to think the spiritual master to be someone ordinary. Spiritual master is always, and the bona fide spiritual master, not just namesake some guru, a bona fide spiritual master who belongs to the bona fide disciplic succession and sampradaya, and who is never deviating from these three things: guru, sadhu, shastra. What the shastra says, the guru is also following that, the sadhu also follows that, and the shastras should, and what kind of shastras should we follow? Again, bona fide shastra. So we should understand that when guru and sadhu are following particular shastra, and if you come across something, Zoom seems to be celebrating. So, so if you come across something that is different from our guru, our bona fide spiritual master is instructing us, or the sadhus are instructing us, then we should understand that such a shastra itself is not bona fide. So these three things should always be in sync with each other: guru, sadhu, and shastra. By sadhu, it is, we understand, a person who is a devotee, a sincere devotee of the Lord, following in the footsteps of the um, of our acharyas and under a bona fide sampradaya. So these three things should always be in sync and parallelly going with each other. Any discrepancy in any one of them, we should understand something is wrong. So, in this way, one is gifted with the ultimate goal of life. Actually, every living entity is destined to understand his relationship with the Supreme Lord and ultimately to reach him. Every living entity is destined. The execution of duties to attain this perfection is known as devotional service. And I think we also read this paragraph. The all attractive features of Lord Krishna can help one attain this stage of pure devotional service. Okay, never mind. We'll read this again. Oh no. I think no. So we did this, but let us read it again. Actually, every living entity is destined to understand his relationship with the Supreme Lord and ultimately to reach him. The execution of duties to attain this perfection is known as devotional service. So, here very clearly it is mentioned. What is devotional service? It is not something out of the box, not some Pandora's box has opened and some new thing has come. No, it is just the execution of duties in order to attain the perfection. That is, what is perfection? To follow instructions of spiritual master is the perfection of life. And whatever duties we are performing in order to fulfill those instructions, that is devotional service. If the spiritual master says that you should learn to cook, no need to make garlands for the deities, we should understand this is our instruction, and in cooking for the Lord is pure devotional service. But if we neglect the instruction of the spiritual master and think ourselves that, oh, making garland for the deities, how is it not pure devotional service? I will make that also, I will do that also. That means we are neglecting the instruction of the spiritual master. The spiritual master knows what we are supposed to do and what we are not supposed to do. So this is a very plain example to understand. Both these things are devotional service, right? But still, if the spiritual master is saying that you do this instead of that, our focus should only be that, irrespective of how good, how expert I am in making garlands. Maybe the whole world is waiting for me to make garlands. Everybody is saying, oh, we miss you in garland making area. Your garlands are so amazing. The deities are missing. Krishna is missing your garlands. It's okay. My spiritual master has not told me to make garlands. Let Krishna wait. This is very, very important. This, if somebody is doing this, that is perfection. That is pure devotional service. And such a person in maturity of this devotional service, that person is sure to get Krishna Prem, love of God. The true goal of life for every living being is achieved by such a person. For no, undoubtedly that person will achieve Krishna Prem and will achieve the ultimate goal of life. The living entity should not desire success in religious rituals, economic development, sense gratification, sense enjoyment, or even liberation. One should only desire to achieve the stage of transcendental loving service to the Lord or pure Krishna consciousness. The all attractive features of Lord Krishna helps one attain this stage of pure devotional service. So when somebody is attracted to the personal features of the Lord, then eventually they come to that pure devotional service. But at the same time, we should be very careful because there's a very thin line between pure devotional service and in becoming a sahajiya. Sometimes people they start hugging their deities and say that now I have developed Krishna Prem. I have so much love that whenever I see the deity of the Lord, I feel like giving a hug. I feel like keeping the deity beside me when I'm sleeping. This is nonsense. This is Sahajiya Buddhi. Has the spiritual masters told us to do this? No. Has Srila Prabhupada ever advised us to do this? No. We are no one. We don't even know who Krishna is. Forget about Krishna Prem. So let us not develop our Sahajiya ideas and start doing all these things. So just follow the advice of the instructor, the instructing spiritual master, Shiksha Guru, Diksha Guru, whoever is guiding us. So only then such a person, by doing properly these devotional services, they will be able to attain the stage of pure devotional service. And one who engages in the preliminary practices of Krishna consciousness can ultimately realize the relationship between himself and Krishna. In this connection, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu related a story from Srila Madhvacharya's commentary on the fifth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.10 to 5.5.13. This story involves the instructions of an astrologer. Astrologer is called Sarvagya because the astrologer sees the chart and says everything, past, present, future, everything, to a poor man who came to him to have his future told. When the astrologer saw the man's horoscope, he was astonished that the man was so poor, and he said to him, "Why are you so unhappy? From your horoscope, I can see that you have a hidden treasure left to you by your father. However, the horoscope indicates that your father could not disclose this to you because he died in a foreign place. But now you can search out this treasure and be happy." This story is cited because the living entity is also suffering due to his ignorance of the hidden treasure of his Supreme Father Krishna. That treasure is love of Godhead, love of Krishna, Krishna Prem. And in every Vedic scripture, the conditioned soul is advised to find it. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, although the conditioned soul is the son of the wealthiest personality, the supreme personality of Godhead Krishna, still he does not realize it. Therefore, the Vedic literature is given to him to help him search out his father and his paternal property. Then the astrologer further advised the poor man, "Don't dig on the southern side of your house to find the treasure, for if you do so, you will be attacked by a poisonous wasp and will be baffled in your efforts to find the treasure. Search on the eastern side where there is actual light, which is devotional service or Krishna consciousness." So different sides are said to be different. We'll read here, Prabhupada will describe here. So they are saying that don't dig on the southern side of your house. Possibly this is indicating that there is illusion, Maya, external energy, and you will be baffled in your efforts to find the treasure. Search on the eastern side. Eastern side, there is light. Sun rises in the east, so it is a glorified. That eastern side is glorified because sun has chosen the eastern side to rise. So that is the devotional service or Krishna consciousness. On the southern side, there are Vedic rituals. Vedic rituals, somebody who are very strict in following the rituals, but it is not spiritual because they are not adding their spirit into it. It is only ritual. घंटी बजाओ, do this आरती, okay, fine हो गया, then do this, then offer some bhoga, okay, and you have to put a tulsi leaf on the bhoga, otherwise Krishna will not accept. But there is no love, there is no devotion. So just based on rituals. So southern side is Vedic rituals. Eastern side is pure devotional service, Krishna consciousness. Western side, there is mental speculation. So everybody is speculating whether this is true or not. Oh, these are myths, okay, mythology. These are not, these are just fictional stories. Or whether it is true, who knows? Oh, they found that Ram Setu, NASA pictures have come, there is a Ram Setu. Okay, maybe somebody built it and then, based on that, somebody made this Ramayana. So this is mental speculation. And on the northern side, there is meditational yoga. People who believe that through meditation and focusing on point blank, focusing on zero, you will get all your success, and no need to think of the Supreme Lord and whether he has a form or not because he has no form. So all these things. So how very nicely Mahaprabhu is citing this example, and our Srila Prabhupada is giving it to us here. And that don't dig on southern side of your house to find treasure. You will be attacked by poisonous wasp and you will be baffled in your efforts to find the treasure. What is that? The Vedic rituals. Mahaprabhu is saying Vedic rituals is a poisonous wasp and you will be baffled in your efforts because what to follow and what not to follow. If we start trying if we try to use our own intelligence to understand, we will be nowhere. Then eastern side, yes, eastern side there is actual light, that is devotional service or Krishna consciousness. Try search for the um, search for this your treasure over there. What will happen on the western side? There is mental speculation, and what is there on the northern side? There is meditational yoga. The astrologer's advice should be very carefully noted by everyone. If one searches for the ultimate goal by the Vedic ritualistic process, he will surely be baffled. Such a process involves the performance of rituals under the guidance of a priest who takes money in exchange for service. Oh, so many times, when we people say that, oh, you should do this ritual, this havan should be done, this yagga should be done, then that dosh will get clarified. You have this problem. If you go to that temple, Kamakhya temple or so and so temple, this is just an example, or if you go and do this kind of ritual in this temple, then your this problem will get solved. All this is simply Vedic rituals, and this will not lead us to the ultimate goal. A man and here also it is mentioned that such a process involves performance of rituals under guidance of a priest. The priest will tell you that, oh, now put this, now do this havan, now say this mantra, and then he takes money in exchange for such services. A man may think that he will be happy by performing such rituals, but this is not true. Even if he does gain some result from them, maybe for some time the Rahu dosh or the Shani dosh is gone, it is only temporary. His material distresses will continue, so he will never become truly happy by following the ritualistic process. Instead, his material pangs will increase more and more. Why somebody does these ritualistic process? Because they want to enjoy more by cutting out the suffering. That is only temporary, and they will never truly become happy because their expectation is increasing. Okay, by doing this ritualistic process, that problem got solved. Now let me do this one more. No, then this problem will get solved. Another third problem arises, you do another thing. So it goes on and on and on. It is a never ending process. The same may be said for digging on the northern side or searching for the treasure of love of Godhead by means of meditational yoga process. No, yogis, um, just by yoga, some kind of yoga, meditational dhyan or hat yoga or any kind of yoga system other than bhakti yoga, nobody can achieve love of Godhead easily. It is a long, long way and very easy to get baffled, very easy to get diverted and fall down again. So the perfection of this process is to think oneself one with the Supreme Lord. Perfection of which process? This meditational yoga. Okay, perfection of meditational yoga process is to think oneself as one with the Supreme God. But this merging into the Supreme is like being swallowed by a large serpent. Sometimes a small serpent is swallowed by a large serpent, and merging into the spiritual existence of the Supreme is analogous. While the small serpent is searching after perfection, he is swallowed. This is spiritual suicide. On the western side, there is also an impediment in the form of a yaksha, an evil spirit who is protecting the treasure. Western side is what? Mental speculation. This yaksha or the evil spirit is Jnana Yoga. Somebody thinks that I'm very intelligent, very scholarly. Let me now learn Sanskrit, and then I will open the Bhagavad Gita and understand all the Sanskrit verses by myself. I don't believe in some random person coming and giving all these meanings. So now I am going to understand it from my intelligence. Gone. So this yaksha is jnana yoga, the speculative process of self-realization. The idea is that a hidden treasure can never be found by one who asks the favor of an evil spirit, a yaksha, to attain it. The result is that one will simply be killed. So while the yogi is practicing meditation is like a small serpent being swallowed by a large serpent, practicing the speculative process to attain the treasure of love of Godhead is also suicidal. So, what happens next on the eastern side and on the others? If so, on the eastern side, Krishna willing, we'll see tomorrow. So thank you very much. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंतकोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। जगत शिला गुरु महाराज की जय। निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि
हरी
बोल।
हरी बोल। जय बोलो हमारी माता